Hello, everybody. Welcome to Learning and Mending Post-Human Infrastructure. I'm Jen, and before we begin tonight, as we are all entering into this Zoom world, I want to share with you something that we do every series for Learning and Mending, and that is we start with our embroidery of the week. And I have to tell you, this one is dynamic. I'm in love with it. I want you to look closely. This is from Olan Jones, and this is from our Underground series. This is Mycelium Roots Carbon Exchange. And she used gold thread, which I don't know if you will be able to see in the detail, but it really pops the colors. It's just extraordinary. And as she will tell you, if she doesn't in her introduction, it took a long time and it's absolutely spectacular. And we thank you and we look forward to seeing what all of you are going to create and share each week in this next 7-week series. It seems as though we are all sort of settling in now. So what I'm going to do is we typically go into kind of like a popcorn introduction. We say who we are, what we're working on, if we've received our kit, or if we're going to be doing something else like drawing or mending, our pronouns and where we're zooming in from. And then at the end of that, you're going to pass it off to somebody else in the Zoom. And so we'll do a quick introduction so we can all share what we're doing and who we are. And if you don't get an opportunity to share, there will be more time at the end of the Zoom if you'd like to introduce yourself and what you're working on. So I'll start. For those of you who didn't hear, my name's Jen. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm zooming in from Studio City. And I am also working on a pattern from our last series, Bison and Range. And I am slowly but surely making my way through this bison. It takes a lot of detail, but I love it. And so I hope to get this done so I can start the new pattern, which some of you have received, and super exciting. So I will now take this opportunity to popcorn it to Millie. Oh, Millie, you're muted.
Hola, everybody. I'm Millie. I will be hosting tonight's 9th series. My pronouns are she, we. I am zooming in from Glassell Park, adjacent to the Los Angeles River. And tonight I will be reading along with all of you. I will popcorn it to Mia Lair. Okay, maybe Mia is away from her desk. How about Jack? Jack Rendler.
Hello, everyone receiving this message. I'm Jack Oliva Rendler. I will be joining Jack Oliva Rendler. Said that quickly. I'll be joining the Metabolic Studio team soon to be working on the river bending project using geospatial tools and sacred geometry, pronouns. He never introduced my pronouns before. He, I, yeah, I'll be using geospatial technology. We'll be looking at sacred geometry, sort of mitigating different environmental systems using certain like artistic interventions. Very excited to be here and learn about these post-human infrastructures with everyone, and looking forward to the conversation. Thank you for having me.
Jack, do you mind popcorning to someone else?
I will popcorn it to let's see. How about Jen Curtis? Oh, she already went. How about Aaron? Aaron Tupac.
Hi, I'm Aaron Tupek, and I go by they, them pronouns. I'm with the Los Angeles Mycological Society. This is my first learning and mending. So, yeah, just checking out. Here you guys are going to be talking about fungi. So, I am curious. Thanks for having me. And I'll popcorn over to Lee.
Hi, I'm Lee Adams, she, her pronouns. And I'm just very happy to be here and to see all of you and very much looking forward to this series. And I am going to popcorn it over to Mish.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michel, calling from El Sereno. Very happy to start this new cycle. And I will be most likely sketching and while listening to the reading. And I will popcorn to Lauren Baum.
Hi, everybody. Lauren, I'm calling in from Chumash territory near the Pacific Ocean and what's called Topanga. I am working on the mycorrhizae network as an embroidery and very happy. I go by she, they pronouns, and I will pass it to Dylan. Long time no see. Nice to see you.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Dylan. She, her pronouns. I am in Los Angeles, Tongva Gabrielino land. I'm in like my sort of office space at school. I have like a meeting with my committee soon, so I'm hoping to be in like a meditative space for the next couple 10-20 minutes or so before I have to leave. I will popcorn it over to Kavi Lal.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Kabilal calling in from Sacramento. I use he, him pronouns. I'm also a member of the Metabolic Studio team, and throughout tonight's session, I'll be posting some nonprofits organizations that the Metabolic Studio has supported in the past or has worked in this capacity to do really great work around earth repair, and I'll be posting them in the chat tonight for tonight's session. And I'll pass it over to, let's see, how about Shelley?
Hi, I'm Shelley Pausner, she, her pronouns. I'm in La Crescenta, and I haven't joined you guys for a long time. It's nice to be back. I'm part of Transition Pasadena and one of the coordinators of the Repair Cafe in Pasadena. It's nice to be here. Thanks. I'll popcorn to Andrea.
Hello, I'm Andrea, and I'm in Los Angeles in the Windsor Square area. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm working on my Bison and Range series embroidery, getting close so I can start the corn. And really looking forward to this next series. Exciting stuff coming up. I will popcorn to Stefano.
Hi, everyone. Stefano. Good to be back, isn't it? And excited about this new series very much. And I will pass it on to, let's see, who hasn't spoken yet? Doug Lee.
Thanks, Stefano. My apologies. My name is Douglas Lee, and I go by he, they, sure, and she, why not? Pronouns, and I'm with the Metabolic Studio, and I've gotten a little bit of a sneak peek on the tiniest bit on what we're going to be listening to this this Learning and Mending season, and it's going to be amazing. So I'm very excited, and I'm going to pass it over to, how about Nina? Is Nina gone yet?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is my first Learning and Mending series. So I don't have any mending. I'm excited to think about what to mend next time. I've been working on microbial intelligence, bringing it into dance so we humans might learn from microbes. And I'm so excited to learn what you all and what we all find out about microbes and other creatures. Thanks. And let me popcorn it to DeRayner Holland.
Hi, DeRayner Holland, calling from Los Angeles, Baldwin Hills, California. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm excited to be working on this new corn pattern. And I'm excited to be here tonight with you all and excited to hear the reading tonight. And I will pass it to Roxanne.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here, and this is amazing. What a wonderful turnout. Can't wait for the reading to start. And my internet might be bad, so I'm going to turn off my video soon. But I'm calling from our Metabolic West site. I work at the Metabolic Studio, and I'm at the barn, and that's where I am. And I will, I don't know if she's, okay. I don't know if Marcella, I don't know if you can hear me, if it's my internet or, I'm not sure. Okay, I pass to Ansu.
Hi, everyone. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Oh.
Sorry, was it me? Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I go by she, her pronouns. I live in LA, and I'm stoked that you started this again. So I'm gonna popcorn it over to who's gonna? Caroline?
Bonsoir, good evening, good afternoon. Caroline, she, her pronouns, calling from Studio City, and very, very, very happy to be here with all of you. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, everyone. I'll pass it to Stefano. Did you talk already? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
Can pass it to Emily.
Emily.
Merci beaucoup, Caroline. Thank you. My name is Emily, and I'm calling in from Metabolic Studio. I've got my interspecies connection here with my two dogs in this galaxy. Hard to see, but they're here. Lucky and Lulu. Happy to be here with you all, right next to the Los Angeles River here at Metabolic Studio. And tonight I will be helping to facilitate the screen share in various ways, and I'm very excited for a new series. Here we go, Los Angeles. Let me go ahead and pass it to Ms. Jen Curtis. Gonna pass it back. I saw that. There we go.
Thank you. As Emily just said, we are welcoming you to our 9th edition of Learning and Mending Post-Human Infrastructure. This series will explore the commons of soil, the air we breathe, water, sound, and the potency of seed and mycelium networks. It involves letting go of the outdated ideas that do not support and serve the life web. As a studio practice, we aim to facilitate this rebound and regeneration. We seek and gender and self-propagating and self-generating feedback loops that feed the life web in places that have been ground down to an inert state. Artists need to create on the same scale as society has the capacity to destroy. Posthuman is a concept that critiques anthropocentrism and philosophical sketch of humanism, a dominant ethos that has shaped social relations and the way humans relate to non-human world for centuries. This is a rich discourse on posthuman and posthumanism. Therefore, there are many ways one might define these concepts. Posthumanism pushes back against the centering of the human and moves to a thinking that eradicates hierarchy of being and challenges the life, non-life binary. Posthumanism is an ontological pursuit of what it means to be human, what it means to be non-human, and where these categories rupture and collide. This is a 7-week series and will be facilitated by Millie Mason Moore, Metabolic Studio Farm Lab Coordinator. We are inspired generalists rather than experts and hope to facilitate an open community dialogue. This series will run each Tuesday with the exception of skipping November 8 and conclude on November 14th. If you'd like to receive an embroidery kit from us, please send your name and mailing address to info@metabolicstudio.org, which I've also put in the chat. Tonight, we'll share our screen displaying this week's reading. Feel free to jump in and read aloud from the text as you feel inspired, as we welcome one and all to both listen and giving voice to the unique text we share each week. And now I will pass it to Lauren.
Thank you, Jen. So it's time, everybody, to get ready to receive this reading, and I'll guide us in with a poem. So if you like to just make sure you're comfortable in your seat and you empty your mind of today's thoughts, and I'll begin to read, and then we'll move on to our collective reading. This is a poem by Simon J. Ortiz. It's called Returning It Back, You Will Go On. Corporate power companies from the East and from the West bought the processed uranium from the corporate oil and mining companies who mined the land. That's Indian Land, Crown Point, Smith Lake, Haystack, Church Rock, San Mateo, Ambrosia Lake, Laguna, Cebolleta. For sure, those names don't sound like Indian names, but for sure, those are Indian lands, and the people who live there are Indian people. Hano Stuta'a. We are Hano, people, Hano, people. Power companies and corporations, railroads, agribusiness, electronics, states, cities, towns, the men and women who work in them, all of them, all of America, take and takes from the land and the people. The land lets you. Kudrawa'a ya ani. The people let you. Kudrawa'a ya ani. But America must give back. That is the only way the land will regenerate. That is the only way the people will be freed. When you plant something, watch it grow, nourish it so carefully, so gently, sing, talk, watch it grow, harvest it, prepare it, pray, speak about it to others, remind them, watch your children grow, use and eat it and return it back with great care and planning and compassion and love. You will grow. You will go on and you will plant again and the plant will grow. Returning it back, you will go on, life will go on. That's what the people say. That's what the land says. If we don't do that, life will continue to be exploited. The land will be used up and the people will remain colonized and powerless. And the city jail will still be full of Indians until soon. The jail will not be enough to hold all the nations of the people, and they will all have risen. They will have risen.
Thank you for sharing that beautiful poem, Lauren. Hola, everybody. I'm Millie, and I'm honored to be here with you today. I think of this virtual gathering as a hive mind or hive heart mind of sorts. I'm also grateful to be hosting the 9th series of Learning and Mending Post-Human Infrastructure. And thank Lauren for inviting me to participate into the space to read, think through, and dialogue these ideas with you. I'm also a grower of food, medicine, community, and teams. And for those of you that don't know me, my personal focus is on healing the earth and ourselves. As mentioned, since 2006, Metabolic Studios Farm Lab has created self-generating and self-diversifying feedback loops that serve and support the life web. Our practice is multimodal in Payahunadu, which is the indigenous name of Owens Valley, where Los Angeles extracts much of its water from, and along the Los Angeles River. Again, I'd love to repeat that we are inspired generalists rather than experts on the following subjects. This week of Post-Human Infrastructure, we will explore grassroots bioremediation methods and address the intersection of decolonization, environmental justice, and healing the earth. We will also focus on tools that renew and regenerate damaged landscapes, including the use of plants, such as this beautiful corn, which is phytoremediation. The use of mushrooms or fungi, which is microremediation, and microbial remediation, which is the use of microbes and bacteria to reduce toxicity in the immune system. Finally, we will explore the obstacles community members and gardeners undertake when approaching bioremediation. Here are some guiding questions for our casual dialogue after reading. How can we avoid perpetuation of colonial tendencies in our struggle to repair the earth? How can we work towards post-human infrastructure and earth repair outside of the same governmental institutions that uphold colonial sentiments? If you have witnessed a bioremediation or done one yourself, share it with us. Should you not feel comfortable having a conversation when the time comes, feel free to use the chat bar to add your questions, thoughts, or any resources that you'd like to collectively share. Also note, anything added to the chat bar will be included on our Discord, Water Community Power. My colleague Matt will now be adding the Discord link to our chat bar. The Discord has been established to continue these dialogues and to open source our collective knowledge. And now, without further ado, Emily, would you be so kind to share your screen? Thank you.
So we can all join in at any point to participate in this reading. In case that wasn't clear, feel free to step forward and read.
Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Rumi. From the contaminated soil in backyards, community gardens, and vacant urban lots, brown fields, big oil spills, and nuclear accidents? How can we transform toxic and damaged landscapes into thriving, nourishing, and fertile places once more? How can we respond to environmental disasters in radical, accessible, and community empowering ways? Earth Repair is a grassroots toolkit. It explores some of the visionary and practical tools for healing and regenerating damaged ecosystems, and the powerful and fertile work of reclaiming resilience and hope in our community. It is an introduction to the dynamic and evolving field of earth repair and grassroots bioremediation. The ideas explored in this book seek to empower and support the work of many of us do. The ideas explored in this book seek to empower and support the work many of us do every day to grow healthy food and medicine amidst the polluted and damaged soils of our backyard garden, community commons, and wildland. Earth Repair also seeks to support the efforts of emergency first responders, community members, and grassroots bioremediators on the front line of oil spills and other industrial accidents, whose toxic legacies lay siege to our health and the health of the lands that sustain us. There is so much potential for this work if done right, to jump the gap from novel ideas into life-transforming community practices, to move past the narrow conversation on sustainability into the powerful territories of regeneration and resurgence, to speak to people's fears and transform despair into hope, apathy into action, to ensure that no community is reduced to drinking bottled water because their rivers and groundwaters have been poisoned, and that no living being has to suffer tragic health impacts because their air, soil, and food have been contaminated. This is the spirit behind this book on earth repair. It permeates everything from the simplicity of building compost or planting sunflowers to bind and break down contamination, to the more difficult work of responding to environmental catastrophe and engaging in the fierce resistance work it takes to change the rules of the game so that such catastrophes never happen in the first place. Many of us have yet to seek the work of grassroots bioremediation done in our communities. Maybe we've heard stories or been to a workshop where we've learned that mushrooms can clean up oil spills and plants can suck up heavy metals. But when faced with wounded and contaminated spaces or environmental disasters, we often have no idea how to translate the myths and legends of regenerative solutions into living reality. The stories, ideas, recipes, and tools shared in Earth Repair are powerful offerings from the many community responders, permaculture healers, grassroots remediators, and environmental restoration workers who are, sorry, I can't see the word, attending to post-disaster landscapes. By reconnecting with living beings, living cycles, and the living earth, they are bringing life back to city lots, backyards, and our damaged wild spaces and hearts.
The information and stories presented in Earth Repair are just a small taste of the vast field of fertile knowledge waiting to be explored and engaged. May it inspire you to initiate and support all those great projects, big and small, that will repair, reconnect, revitalize, regenerate, and rewild the many broken and poisoned landscapes in which we live.
Chapter 1, Roots of Repair, Decolonization and Environmental Justice. Before launching into the wild world of earth repair and grassroots bioremediation, I would like to take a moment to address the intersection of decolonization, environmental justice, and earth repair. As many of us are seeking to heal the lands we call home, we must recognize that these lands were stolen from indigenous peoples and devastated through acts of colonization. If you are not indigenous to these lands, then you are participating in and benefiting from an ongoing crime against the people of these original nations. Though we cannot choose where we are positioned on Earth, how we relate to that positioning is absolutely critical in addressing and challenging historical and current injustices. We have a lot of work to do in taking responsibility for these injustices and ensuring we do not continue. We must find honorable and meaningful ways to move forward that repair our relationships with each other and the land. As the author of Earth Repair, I feel that it is critical to acknowledge this reality and to ask that you keep it in mind as you carry the information within this book onto the lands beneath your feet. These lands not only bear the wounds of industrial war waged upon their forests, rivers, meadows, and mountains, but also the deep, painful history and ongoing practice of colonization with its continued disrespect, violence, occupation, and environmental destruction forced upon indigenous peoples. The indigenous peoples who traditionally tended these lands, and the many who continue to do so, never willingly gave up their lands. They have been forced from their so that ports, forts, malls, housing, developments, roads, farms, public lands, golf courses, car dealerships, schools, office towers, mines, dams, and pipelines could erase and bury the vibrant life supported, the life support systems and strong communities that existed here previously. One of the ways that colonialism seeps into the everyday work of each Earth Repair is through the dark legacy and enduring tradition of environmental racism. Indigenous communities, people of color, and low-income neighborhoods are all too often sites targeted for heavy industry, military bases, waste dumps, and higher levels of pollution. People in these communities suffer more health and environmental impacts than their affluent, predominantly white neighbors. Whatever laws, agreements, and regulations that may be present to challenge such injustices are often ignored and violated by corporations and governments. When it comes to recovering from environmental disasters and industrial accidents, these communities often receive little notification, support, or effective cleanup, if any at all. This reality also applies to poorer countries, which have been traditionally used as dumping grounds, and whose rich environments have been exploited and destroyed by wealthier countries and their corporations.
What does this look like on the ground? Massive tar sands mines that are poisoning the world's third largest watershed and the traditional territories and communities of the Cree and Dene peoples. Health impacts suffered by the Aamjiwnaang First Nation community, which is surrounded by the many refineries of Chemical Valley in Sarnia, home to Canada's largest cluster of chemical, allied manufacturing, and research and development facilities. Low income and or racialized urban neighborhoods whose homes, schools, and gardens sit atop contaminated soils or in the midst of heavy industry. The list goes on. Though some folks like myself can simply relocate to cleaner and healthier living spaces, many people cannot, due to economic circumstances, as well as community, cultural, and historical connections and responsibilities that hold them to these very places. In these realities, environmental destruction, tragic health impacts, oppression, and social justice all collide, which is why some folks do the work of Earth Repair for the love of the planet, some for the love of their loved ones and community, and many for both. The practice of earth repair not only involves detoxifying and revitalizing the land by working with plants, mushrooms, and microorganisms, it must also include the powerful work of decolonization that seeks to deeply repair and enliven both the ecosystems and the communities that support thriving natural systems.
So as you consider initiating an earth repair and grassroots bioremediation work, acknowledge, respect, and honor the original stewards of these lands and their indigenous rights, life practices, knowledge, resistance, and sovereignty. Ask permission for the earthwork you are about to do. Find out who your ancestors are, where your people come from, the way they cared for and honored their ancestral lands, and at what point this relationship was lost or destroyed. Try to see the land around you with new eyes, the kind that can see beyond the grid system, mega projects, dams, fields of monocultures, and urban jungles. Take the initiative and responsibility for educating yourself on the buried and hidden stories of the lands you call home and the peoples you share them with. Acknowledge and actively work to challenge the power imbalances and destructive ideologies that have created situations whereby the ability for many different people and communities to be healthy, have right livelihoods, and live in positive relationship to earth have been severely compromised. Challenge the capitalist culture that sees the earth and its living beings as something to be owned, commodified, and destroyed for profit, and do not replicate it in the earthwork. Finally, ask yourself how you will meaningfully undertake the deep and life-altering work of decolonization and the powerful solidarity and resistance work with which it requires. We must challenge the voracious colonial processes that created and continue to create such damage in the first place. Because without that, your healing work for this planet will only be superficial and short-lived at best.
Chapter 2, Earth Repair and Grassroots Bioremediation. Most of Earth Repair will focus on grassroots bioremediation, but it's important to remember that bioremediation is part of a much larger practice of Earth Repair, Earth Care, and right relation. There are many other tools and practices that fall under the broad and deep scope of Earth Repair. In this book, we are just scratching the surface, focusing on a few tools for cleaning up contamination, tools that also renew and regenerate damaged landscapes. Bioremediation works with living systems to detoxify contaminated environments. It includes microbial remediation, engaging the healing power of microorganisms like bacteria and fungi, phytoremediation, engaging the healing power of plants, and mycoremediation, engaging the healing power of mushrooms to heal contaminated and damaged lands and water. To me, true grassroots bioremediation and earth repair aspire to the following: community accessibility and affordability, working with nature to assist in its healing, do-it-yourself remediation, restoration, and regeneration techniques that are high impact, low input, low toxic, simple, and easy to replicate. Prioritizing deep ecological healing and community justice as the motivating force. Embedding the skills and necessary infrastructure in our communities, especially communities most at risk for environmental disasters and contamination issues. Applying whole systems, multi-kingdom, multi-species, multi-tool approaches. honoring local knowledge, local resources, and engaging local decision-making. Empowering people to directly respond to their circumstances and crises in ways that increase their knowledge and self-determination and result in real improvements for the planet and their communities. Avoiding externalizing the problem whenever possible. Challenging and actively resisting the privatization and corporate ownership of solutions, spaces, and living beings. Engaging in the powerful preventative medicine of resistance through grassroots organizing and mobilizing to stop destructive projects from going ahead. Acknowledging that it takes a community to make an earth repair project successful, and seeking to build and maintain respectful relationships and trust with our many living earth repair allies, bacteria, plants, fungi, animals, people, ecosystems.
Grassroots bioremediation and earth repair mean choosing our interventions wisely, observing nature, learning and drawing inspiration from its brilliant design. They involve figuring out how to restore cycles and natural processes that have been interrupted, and working with nature's own healing mechanism to organically and holistically restore wellness to a site. This work is not about being dogmatically attached to a specific tool or method. The true grassroots bioremediator is not someone who believes that mushroom will save the world and wants to apply them to every situation. Instead, such a healer is willing to consider that we have many tools at our disposal, but a lot of these tools work best in concert or in succession, and that the environmental condition of the sites we are working with may favor one tool over another. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. This way of doing earth repair does not make much profit for. Conventional remediation. Conventional remediation refers to the many ways that industry and government are approaching the removal of harmful chemicals and metals from contaminated sites, specifically looking at how they repair or clean up contaminated soil and water. Though I have some criticism of how conventional remediation is done, it is important to recognize that there are situations where it can achieve strong results, some that may not be achievable by grassroots bioremediation due to the extent and extreme nature of the destruction caused by the industrial system. Both conventional and grassroots remediation have their blind spots. Some grassroots remediators can be blissfully overconfident about the healing power of nature without understanding the nature of contamination on the site. Some conventional remediation professionals can possess an overconfidence in using technology, chemistry, and engineering-based solutions that do not work with the innate ecological intelligence of the land or the people who reside most closely to it. They can fail horribly at restoring the ecological integrity of a site. With the almighty dollar, public relation and government regulation as primary drivers in most cases, solutions and treatments are often selected based on their cheapness and expediency, leading to more of an excavate, cover, and bury approach to cleanup. That said, it is important to build relationships with key allies in this line of work. Many folks working in conventional remediation are in need to do good work and are equally unsatisfied with the outcomes and compromises they are forced to make by the corporation who call the shots. They have a lot of experience working with extensively damaged land and big projects, and this important knowledge and skills could be helpful to increasing the effectiveness of grassroots bioremediation efforts. In Appendix 2, you will find description of different conventional remediation technology. I highly recommend you familiarize yourself with them. As a grassroots remediator, bioremediator, or as anyone living in a community dealing with contamination, it is important to know that technologies and tools are currently being applied to cleaning up contaminated sites and what their impacts truly are.
Industry. Its implementation pays off over time. Earth repair also doesn't cover up and hide the problem quickly enough to save public relations face, or to get a speedy stamp of approval so that the problem is all wrapped up and companies can move on. Unlike most conventional remediation that treats the symptoms, patents the cures and profits from the lack of ecological health. Earth repair methods seek the roots of the illness and act in ways that restore overall health and balance to these natural systems. These methods require frequent and lighter interventions over a longer period of time. These tools for repair and regeneration are not tools fashioned from the same industrial paradigm that created the problem in the first place. Unlike the chemicals and heavy machinery used in conventional remediation, you are working with living beings to restore life and health to other living beings. This is complex work that can be hard to control and hard to command with the quickness often required for disaster response. These different microbes, plants, and mushrooms grow differently in different soils, microclimates, and in the presence of different contaminants. Therefore, applications need to be tailored to specific site characteristics and conditions, making it challenging to have ready-to-go stock on hand. Some of these living beings are more sensitive than others, and you will have to coax and care for them in order to get them to the point where their healing powers are unleashed. In a way, you may have to become bacteria, plant and mushroom whisperers. And those of us who combined that care with a skillful and detail-oriented approach will be the most successful at this work. Grassroots bioremediation reality check. When I set out to write Earth Repair, I wanted to compile a how-to guide of empowering, accessible, and holistic tools to help clean up the mess that's been made of this beautiful place we call home. The reality may be that we just aren't there yet. These tools are still being developed and honed, many of them facing resistance and inertia from governments, on industry and some professionals, which is further delaying their growth and ability to succeed. In order to be effective at this work, it is important to know what are some of the barriers you may face in doing grassroots bioremediation.
Barriers to Community-Based Bioremediation by Scott Kellogg. The urban gardener is in regular physical contact with soil, breathing its dust and eating foods grown from it. Few others have such an intimate relationship with city soils, a resource that is seen by most others as something that only serves as a foundation for buildings and roads. Logically, then, gardeners are concerned with soil contamination issues and are looking for simple and low-cost means to address them. For a number of years now, urban gardeners and their supporting organizations have been aware of the concept of bioremediation. Bioremediation's use of naturally occurring organisms, apparent affordability, and minimal disturbance to soils all add to its attractiveness. The idea of partnering with life forms such as bacteria, plants, worms, and fungi, all of whom gardeners are already familiar with, greatly adds to its appeal. Numerous scientific studies have been conducted that support bioremediation's effectiveness. There's no question that given the right circumstances, these organizations have the potential to degrade organisms have the potential to degrade, immobilize, or sequester a variety of contaminants. Bioremediation would appear to be an ideal and elegant solution to issues of soil toxicity. When then have bioremediation techniques not yet been put into use broadly as a means to mediate contaminated gardens? Why are we not seeing citizen groups applying the tools of bioremediation and publishing the results? These are questions that I have been asking for a number of years in my work, designing ecologically and socially regenerative systems in urban environments. In 2004, the Rhizome Collective, an organization that I co-founded in Austin, Texas, received a $200,000 grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to clean up a brownfield site located in the city. This cleanup primarily involved removal of tons of trash and debris, a twisted mountain of concrete, rebar, wood scraps, tires, and carpet scraps from a former illegal dumping site. Although levels of organic and heavy metal pollutants on the site met residential standards, concerns remained about the safety of gardening there post cleanup.
Unfortunately, funding in the grant would not cover the cost of soil remediation. Shortly afterwards, I was part of an effort to establish a community-based bioremediation plan in post-Katrina New Orleans to help address residual hydrocarbon contamination left behind from the storm. Compost teas were applied to areas known to be affected by pollutants. While the program received donations of services from soil testing labs, the funds were insufficient to carry out a properly managed remediation program on the scale that was necessary. The barriers to community-based bioremediation are many. One such obstacle is that there is still a great deal of mystique, particularly to the less scientifically literate, surrounding bioremediation and its processes. This lack of understanding can make bioremediation an intimidating prospect to many. The vast majority of literature concerning bioremediation exists in scientific journals, written in a dry academic style that is close to unreadable by the layperson. The bulk of these studies are conducted in highly controlled, sterile laboratory conditions, incredibly different from the diverse, heterogeneous, and competitive ecologies that exist in the garden environment. In order for this boundary to be spanned, a few individuals that are scientifically literate will need to wade through the journals and distill a series of guiding principles and best practices usable by the average gardener. From there, a push needs to be made from within and outside of academic institutions to conduct a greater number of field-based trials where proven bioremediation techniques are put to the test in real-world conditions. Emphasis needs to be placed on techniques that are simple, affordable, and that make use of commonly available biological agents. The focus of these studies should be on the top 12 inches of soil, the zone in which the majority of urban gardeners are active. Partnerships between citizen groups and academic institutions are vital, as universities have access to technological resources that gardeners are commonly lacking, but are necessary to conduct such trials. Cost is another significant barrier to implementing bioremediation techniques. While bioremediation is relatively inexpensive, especially when compared to more intensive means of conventional remediation, its use still requires some expenses, particularly when soil testing is involved. For example, spreading spent mushroom substrate over an oil spill could conceivably be done for little or no cost. Testing the contaminated soil, however, to be sure that the total petroleum hydrocarbons have been reduced to safe levels, can be prohibitively expensive, potentially hundreds or thousands of dollars. While the spent substrate application may have been successful in degrading the oil, without verifiable data to prove its effectiveness, it is difficult to get the support needed to replicate the process on a broad scale. Governmental agencies ideally would play a role in funding citizen-based cleanups, although they have done very little to date. Most of the government funds that exist for brownfield remediation go to large-scale developers who are primarily interested in meeting regulatory obligations as quickly as possible. These developers typically favor a dig and dump approach to soil remediation rather than dealing with the longer timescale and other uncertainties that can accompany bioremediation. Additionally, many governmental agencies charged with environmental protection are reluctant to work with citizen groups, fearing liability or something to go wrong. Consequently, governmental agencies are commonly unfamiliar with small-scale bioremediation. It is my belief that it is very much in the interest of government agencies to alter this policy. As interest in community gardening increases, so will the number of people wanting to partake in soil remediation. These people are going to attempt remediation whether or not they receive assistance from agencies. Therefore, it makes sense for agencies to offer some form of guidance or assistance so that people do not put themselves in harm's way.
Part of this work would be developing a solid method of risk analysis for exposure to soil toxins. Currently, no such framework exists. It is important to be able to answer important questions like, what is the danger of being exposed to a particular contaminant in the soil? And further, what is the danger of that being taken up into a plant and being passed into your body? These aspects of risk need to be weighed against all of the benefits of gardening, such as improved nutrition, physical exercise, and enhanced community relationships. Developing such a framework is a multidisciplinary task involved in the fields of ecology, toxicology, public health, and medicine. Developing a protocol for qualitative soil analysis is another innovation that can reduce the cost of bioremediation. It may be possible to create a method for assessing the quality of soils using what are called bioassays. An example of a bioassay would be testing seed germination rates in soil with known levels of toxicity. Using this information, it could be possible to determine contaminant levels in soils using only plant seeds, potentially cutting the cost of soil testing dramatically. Bioremediation holds great promise for urban gardeners as a tool for achieving improved soil health. Hopefully in time, and with the cooperation of institutional entities, it can go from being an experimental technique to a broadly utilized strategy. Scott Kellogg is the educational director of Radix Ecological Sustainability Center in Albany, New York, and author of book Toolbox for Sustainable Living. He has recently completed a master's degree in environmental science from Johns Hopkins University, where he wrote his thesis on the topic of low-intensity, community-based bioremediation techniques. And that concludes our reading for tonight. Thank you to all who read and also listened. In Earth Repair, the author points to the possible acts of remediation that range in scale, from building compost and working with plants and mushrooms that heal soil to more complex projects targeting damaged landscapes. These acts are framed as earth repairs and can be understood in our language as acts of post-human infrastructure. They are direct responses to state-sanctioned infrastructure that targets Black, Indigenous people of color, and impoverished communities with heavy industry, military bases, waste dumps, and higher levels of pollution. The author implores us to try to see the land around you with new eyes, the kind that can see beyond the grid systems, mega projects, dams, fields of monocultures, and urban jungles. A contrast emerges between infrastructure that heals the land and the kind that harms it. And the distinction between the two is often tied to a history of colonialism and capitalism. Now I'm going to ask my colleague Nish to repeat and post the guiding questions on your chat board.
All right, so there were 3 questions, and I'm going to give them all 3, one after the other. Okay, the question 1 is, how can we avoid perpetuation of colonial tendencies in our struggle to repair Earth? The question 2 is, how can we work towards post-human infrastructure and Earth repair outside of the same governmental institution that uphold colonial sentiments? And the last question involved more of a personal experience. We're asking you that if you have witnessed a bioremediation or done one yourself, can you please share it with us? Feel free to also share your experiences in the chat bar if you don't feel comfortable speaking.
We're going to actually, because it's such a large group, move everybody into breakout rooms of 8 people for about 10 minutes, so you can speak in a smaller group, and then we'll come back together for a 5-minute collective share, having broken into those smaller groups. So Jen, take it away.
Okay. See you all in your individual breakout rooms, and then I'll pull you back in at the end of 10 minutes, and then we'll discuss collectively.
I came back soon by accident.
Oh, no worries. Everyone's supposed to come back now. You're right on time.
Yeah.
Welcome back. It should have sent a message. I hope it weren't that it was closing.
I enthusiastically checked on it while I was in the middle of a sentence.
Oh, well, you can continue here. I think actually I see a message that it's going to close out in 2 seconds. So everyone will be back.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how many people got cut off mid-sentence. 10 minutes is a very short period of time. You're just sort of getting started. But we had a very good critique of the reading in our section, and I'd love to see if Ansu would share some of it with the group. And maybe Steph had a wonderful personal anecdote connecting her personal experience. Maybe that would be interesting to kind of share a little bit with the group just to get started. Would you mind, Ansu?
No, not at all. Thank you for asking. My point was related to the first question that you put up about how do we get past this colonial model. And the text itself read very much epistemologically like colonizers' scientific privileged text. And earth repair presented as a sort of a technique that resides only in the minds of human beings, and that they're clever enough to sort of surgically come in and do these different techniques in different places and fix it. And that I contrast this concept of earth repair with the way that indigenous groups consistently speak about land relationships as eco-cultural restoration, which has a different connotation because it involves embodied knowledge, long lineages, ancestral lineages of knowledge, of deep time spent with the place. I'm also thinking, Lee, of how much you've taught me by doing, and the incredible difference of knowing techniques like presented in a text and the scientific proofs associated with that, and the difference of developing a relationship with the work and actually committing your whole body, your sweat into it. And so this eco-cultural restoration inevitably pulls back on an indigenous time, food pathways and practices, life cycles, seasonal cycles, the associated spiritual meaning of those relationships, and then ceremonies. And all of that together is an ecology. So it's a human ecology together with the biological world. And it's not just sort of a biological tool instead of, a mechanical tool or something like that. I hope that kind of reaches at what we were talking about.
No, I think that's really, really well said, Ansu. And thank you for pointing out Lee's service and how she pollinates both her enthusiasm for being on the land and working directly with it. And that is part of the culture of repair, is the doing and the sharing from personal experience.
Would anyone else like to share what was discussed or dialogued within your groups?
I'll jump in just because I think it relates. And I think, I guess going back off what you guys were talking about, we were talking about, I was sharing how I've been part of a remediation project. And we spoke of how seeing through the project, in reality, at the end, there was so much more benefits than just the remediation part of it. That in reality, that was the foundation. But beyond that, all the benefits that were taking place, not only on the earth, but on a human level, on a community level, on an animal level, on an ecosystem level, on a mental, emotional, spiritual health level. It really impacts all of those, which is all of us and everything around us. So it's not that we're just remediating the soil, we're really remediating everything around it, including ourselves. And when you choose to engage and give of yourself, then it's that much more rewarding, right? With the intent, with intention to really want to be part of being of service to the land, to the people, to the environment, then by nature, you're going to receive from everything that you're serving with, that you're giving. You know, and if that's with love, if that's with care, with humbleness, with intention, with forgiveness, with joy, with all of these beautiful intentions that we could put forward, right? Then it's that much more rewarding for everybody involved. And then we transitioned into transaction and transformation. And so I'll pass it to Millie, to the other Millie Lacey. Emily, sorry.
Thank you, Brenda. Yeah, well, your story of the garden, the community garden, and transforming that site, and the many inches of soil and tarmac that you spoke about changing, and thinking about creating a space that people wanted to be in, and green space and space for wildlife and fungi. It just got me thinking about something, this dichotomy I've been thinking about you hear so much about transactional relationships and transactional dynamics. And I've really been trying to shift my thinking to what about transformational relationships, and what defines a transformational relationship to a person or to a place or to a community or to plants. And I've been thinking about the idea of a gift, and trying to think about when and if I'm able, when can I make something a gift instead of a transaction. And then that just gets me emotional, thinking about how, you know, life itself really is a gift, you know, and it's fleeting. And just happy to be here with all of you and to be talking about such important things, and such this generous space, this gentle space of care and repair. I'm really grateful for. So thank you for transforming me continually.
I'd like to quickly just give you guys, actually respond to the last question, if I've witnessed the bioremediation and if I've done one myself. 7 years ago, Metabolic Studio acquired a property adjacent to the Los Angeles River. It was a towing in 2015, many years before that. Lauren had the inclination of the first action being of removing six 60-foot circles of tarmac, and basically just allowing the sun, the wind, and the rain to really care for that land without any intervention from any of us at farmland. And what we witnessed was pretty remarkable as we removed ourselves from any interaction with the land. We started noticing a lot of native seed vegetation germinating after maybe 75 to 100 years. And we started really caring for those specific species and collecting the seed and really caring for that seed and casting it right back. Within, I believe, 5 to 7 years, and James can correct me if he's here, we were able to reduce 70% of the lead content of that site. which was to us very remarkable. Now we are undertaking this other site, which is at the Metabolic Studios backyard, which we currently call the Anabolic. And everything that we learned from using plants to mushrooms to bacteria, we're applying those methods and treatments to the land, hoping that we can also heal the earth there as well. And to answer your question, Ansu, I completely agree with you. I'm a true believer that I have in my blood indigenous knowledge, and I've asked my father and my grandmother to really guide me in these actions, because I'm very close to the land here in Los Angeles, in Oakland, and also in Owens Valley. But what I do also agree with is that we do need to have some scientific literature, because there are going to be people in community that want to know where is the data, right? And we actually took it upon ourselves to challenge ourselves, even though we're not experts in this field, to really challenge ourselves as Farm Lab to really take down the data, take baseline samples and send it to the lab. And 7 years later, that is the result that we're getting, is that we were able to reduce the lead content. But I would love to have this conversation further with you, Ansu. And thank you, Brenda, for sharing your experience as well with bioremediation, because I know in South LA, it is very well needed. I also know that the 51 miles of the Los Angeles rivers, riverbanks are also highly contaminated, and many people are in need of this knowledge. So I just wanted to share that little story with you guys and make you aware that we do have a lot of evidence that these low-tech treatments are helping us heal the land. As I'm noticing, we're running into a time where we want to bring this to a closure. I want to really just say thank you. I really appreciate all of you guys being here. I know it's late at night, but again, it's really important for all of us to come together and have this dialogue. So I want to offer up the idea that before we come to Learning and Mending next week, go take a walk, get lost, close your eyes and listen. Allow the sound to tell you where you are. Because next week, my colleague from Farm Lab, Doug Lee, the Metabolic Studios Sonic Division, will explore the sonic world of environmental landscape. And while you're thinking about that, my colleague Emily has curated a beaver outro. So take it away, Emily, and thank you again.
Thank you. We're just gonna have a little audio visual outro here with our friend and potential climate hero, the beaver who helps us retain water and helps the earth do so many things. So feel free to enjoy this and make your exit as you wish. This is about a 5-minute video here. Oops.
We will be actually reading a section on beavers as post-human infrastructure in the book Water Always Wins in number 3 of this series, Learning and Mending, following next week's the post-human infrastructure of sound, and how to think about freeing ourselves from the borders of state, city, and country by the fact that sound waves move freely between these places and can't really be colonized.
Yes, thank you, Lauren. I was trying to remember to connect how the beaver will appear in the reading. So thank you for connecting all those dots so gracefully.
Well, I think that was great. Great start.
And we're off.
Yeah, I think the breakout rooms are really helpful. I don't know what your room was like, Roxanne or Jen, but Millie and I, we were able to get somewhere. It was too short though. I think
Yeah.
we did 5
It-
minutes.
It
5
was
minutes more.
it was 10 minutes. I timed it, but I can definitely make it 15 next time, no
Well,
problem.
I think if there's more than 30 people, there's just no way to have a conversation with everybody in the space, you know, because it's like, you know, difficult. So
That we can prepare to flip it. However, you know, we can decide each week. It only takes 2 seconds to hit a button.
Yeah.
So
and I think the nice thing about doing it quickly is then there is time to get back and talk a little bit. But Millie,
Yeah,
I was having, sorry, what, Roxanne?
Well, it's just that the things that were shared, like in each space, I don't know, like, you know, having Ansu share is always just so insightful. I was with Jack and Marcella, and those things that they shared and brought to it were great. So it's I don't know about, I am conflicted about the breakout rooms, because then to bring it back to the whole circle, it's nice to have a small conversation, but I've never had a problem with our big conversations, and that sitting together in a large way is also great.
Yeah. Well, we'll think about it next week. I find that it's helpful for people who are new, especially to speak in a small group, and some people.
Yes, it's
I was
that
actually,
lovely connection. Sorry.
go ahead.
No, the lovely connection of those small groups. So maybe like 5 minutes and then coming back. Those are really, those are precious moments when you discover who you're with and you share. But yeah, anyway.
yeah, but then you don't get a chance to go any deeper once you do the like, hi, I'm Jen, and here's where, you know, like there's, so
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be, we don't do it, or
split the difference and do larger breakout groups, so that instead of splitting, you know, we could do two breakout groups, so still people are like in a group of 15, you know. I don't know.
That's good.
Like, I was really impressed. My friend Brenda, she's introverted, and I wasn't expecting her to talk, but I think because she was in a smaller group, she felt more comfortable talking about her work.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Millie, the only other thing I was going to say is that I was having some trouble with your sound.
Am I too loud?
No, I just can't really hear. There's some kind of
you know what it is? I think I know what it is. If you have paper at all, like in front of your computer like this, it muffles the mic, because I had that happen to me. Did you have anything like directly in front of your laptop, Millie?
No, but I have my books around here, so maybe I just take them.
Whatever you just did was better already.
Oh, okay, so maybe that's what it is. I have all my books around my computers, so I won't.
Let's practice, because your voice being clear is super important.
Right.
Because I was having like a lot of your words for me where I could tell everything you were saying. I didn't lose any words, but it wasn't like.
It wasn't clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing with my volume earlier because someone had commented that my voice is very low when I naturally speak. And so I raised the volume, but how do I sound right now? Am I too loud?
No, you sound.
Now it's okay.
Okay, so maybe it's the books around my computer, so I'll be sure not to do that anymore.
Yeah. Might be worth getting those headsets too.
Oh yeah, or even my AirPods.
Yeah, those good AirPods. Yeah.
Okay.
Might be worth trying.
Okay, I'll practice with Jen
For
tomorrow.
yeah.
For alternative school.
Yeah, try it at when we do the alternative school tomorrow. See what, you know, see how you feel, because I carry a larger part of the load with that, so you don't have to do as much.
Right.
But you did a great job.
Thank you.
Are you wiped out?
No.
Okay.
I just got nervous when Ansu, I mean, she has a good perspective.
That's why we do these things, you know what I mean? It's like, we state right away, we're not experts, right?
Right.
And this group of readings are stuff that you all in Farm Lab put together, so it's good to get the critique. This is an old book. This is, you know,
10
This
years
is
old. Mhm.
more. I think it's like 12, isn't it? But it's old. And so things change.
Yeah.
But that's so valuable, the nuance of what you brought, which seems enlightened, and then to have it brought up to today's time, that was such a valuable thing. So don't at all berate yourself. I think it was really good.
Yeah, April 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
She would have been,
Go
she
ahead.
would have been researching it probably a few years before.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I talked to Nance Clem about it, you know, because she's in it.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, I forgot about that book. That was like 13 years ago, right? Because of how long it takes to actually put a book together. So
Right.
the research on it was probably happening around the beginning of Farm Lab, around 2006, 2007.
Mhm.
So I know how much things have changed because everything has changed in the conversation about, you know, land and land use and, you know.
I'm even surprised that she has the decolonization aspect at the beginning, because 10, 12 years ago, no one was talking or acknowledging the tribes on the land. So
Yeah.
that's impressive to me. Yeah.
My phone's probably gonna die, but I'll stay here till it does.
Well, I just wanted to say that I thought that was a great beginning and it felt like we just did it last week. But what a huge group.
What a
Yeah.
huge group.
That's the biggest group we've ever had.
And they were signing up minutes before too. I was watching them come in.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's interesting too. We'll see what happens next week. We've
they-
often had a big group the first time and then it gets smaller, you know?
But I did see some of the alternative school students and some of my Cal State LA student fellow students there too. So
Oh, good. You see?
and some of my personal friends. So that's cool.
That's awesome. See, this is how you form community.
Exactly.
You get out in the world and you do things and, you know, and then people come and support each other, like, you know.
Sure.
It's nice to see the growth of the project in this way.
Yeah.
It's so good to start it again. It just feels great. I'm really happy about it.
And wow,
Yeah.
Oland's embroidery is a masterpiece.
Is that going into picture, Lauren? That should go into picture.
I want to put it in the show with, you know, because I think the shelves that are there, that mycelium network thing, it's just astounding. All right, guys, talk to you later. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks, Jen.
You too, Millie. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
Roxy.
Roxanne.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.